Trying something a little bit different today, and I'm going to be reviewing Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal is one of the most disgusting games that works to manipulate the player in several different ways that make me uncomfortable about where the industry is going. So sit back, let's take a moment to talk about my thoughts about where the industry is going, and it's all prompted by Diablo Immortal. Before we do that, though, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my videos go live. Thank you so much for watching this far. Let's dive right in. So Diablo Immortal is possibly one of the most manipulated games I have played, potentially ever. They've crafted a game where they actually feign innocence under the idea that the game is free. Diablo Immortal lures in unsuspecting players with enemies that are barely challenging enough to make the game be called a game, but sound design that makes you just want to keep playing, kill one more character, get one more thing, get one more level. And games have been doing this for a long time. Where Diablo crosses the line is it forces you into the store to buy things, or it tricks you into actually supporting the monetization of this game. And unfortunately, more and more developers are getting wise to the fact that you are willing to pay money for these. So I implore you, do not spend a cent on Diablo Immortal. Play it for 100 hours. I don't care. Same thing with Raid Shadow Legends. Play it for 100 hours. Do not spend a cent on that game. Show them that you're not going to fall for their tricks. It's all psychological trickery. And I really, really want you to not fall for it. Otherwise, we are going to get more games like this. My hope would be for Diablo Immortal to crash and burn enough that Blizzard is forced to take a long, hard look at the psychologists they consulted to ensure they extract as much cash as possible out of you with just the right sounds, just the right amount of challenge, which is apparently none, and just the right nods toward the XX% value packages and all the other tactics that I haven't listed that they've implemented to get you to pay as much as possible. This is actually a thing that game developers are doing these days, and seeing it in action in Diablo Immortal is very disturbing to me. The truly heinous aspect of this game is that I'm positive there are developers who worked hard on the gameplay elements, on the artwork, on the design of these characters, and there are developers working on this game who actually care about the Diablo franchise. But it's all being used in a way that I despise. It's being used in a way to manipulate your dopamine, to give you that hit of dopamine and get you living in these worlds as long as you possibly can so that you spend money. And about $25 million worth of that money has already been spent. So people are falling for it. Multiplayer starts out fine. You start out like whatever level 1, but the whales get a free lunch basically when you hop in at the top tiers. Sure, you can go into start, but if you want the best builds, you need to pay, or pay an absurd amount of materials to build lower star level gems. And if you pay enough, you'll be unstoppable. It's literally pay to win. It is literally pay to win. And the whole attitude about it is incredibly disheartening to hear from Blizzard employees. Mike Ibarra recently did an interview where he talked about, well, it's free. So why is it a big deal? It's a big deal because it's literally corroding the fabric of the video game industry and forcing other developers to look at your monetization practices and saying, yeah, you know what? Maybe we can get a few more dollars out of people. Blizzard defends Diablo Immortal microtransaction as it hits 15 million downloads. I feel really good about it as an introduction to Diablo, right? So if we scroll down here, Blizzard president Mike Ibarra recently spoke to the LA Times and amidst a wider discussion about Blizzard culture addressed Diablo Immortal's monetization and said criticism of it was not reflective of the wider reaction to the game. When we think about monetization, at the very highest level, it was, how do we give a free Diablo experience to hundreds of millions of people where they can literally do 99.5% of everything in the game, says Ibarra. The monetization comes in at the end game. The philosophy was, always to lead with great gameplay and just make sure that hundreds of millions of people can go through the whole campaign without any costs. From that standpoint, I feel really good about it as an introduction to Diablo. However, people have still spent $24 million in Diablo Immortal. Here's a few more quotes here. The important question being, well, is Diablo Immortal any good then? PCG's Tyler Colt took a look and described it as a game designed to exploit your love of Diablo. It's built around the dopamine. It's funny that he says this. I didn't read this part yet, so it's funny that he's hitting on the same notes that I wrote in my script. It's built around the dopamine that comes from whacking demon pinatas for loot, meticulously designed to give you a jolt of satisfaction every 30 seconds. And then, when that's not enough anymore, it charges you for it. For Diablo Immortal and games like it, the fun parts of games are money extraction devices. That being said, Ibarra may have a wider point, though that certainly won't stop Immortal's critics. Mobile game monetization is an easy pinata for us all to take swings at, but microtransactions remain the dominant business model for mobile games. And that's why I implore you not to buy the Battle Pass. Don't buy a single thing in Diablo Immortal if you're playing it. And I'll get to that in the conclusion. It has also seemed at times that critics were going to extreme lengths to make arguments against the game, throwing around overinflated numbers that don't really reflect how any normal person would play. A quick YouTube search for the topic finds one content creator claiming the game has $110,000 worth of microtransactions. I don't think this writer understands what the problem is there. The problem is these developers are allowing people to spend $110,000 if they want to in their games. There's no wall against it. There's no cap. There's no sort of responsibility taken by the developers about making a product that is complete enough where you would never, ever be able to or have to spend $110,000 to hit that level cap. And sure, we saw one person spend, what was it, $10,000? Or near $10,000 to get one legendary 5-star gem. It is a problem, and to act like there is no problem with Diablo Immortal is not doing the industry any service. Anyway, let's find where I was. I wrote some notes over here. You might have seen me glancing at them, but talked about multiplayer. Okay, so now that I've made my distaste of the practices implemented clear, let's talk about what's there for those of you who, like me, refuse to pay a single cent supporting these practices. First up, there's a halfway decent campaign. Story sets up a big bad who you have to kill. You kill all the bosses. The gameplay is fairly simple. I played a mage. I don't know what they're called in Diablo. Who cares? And I basically used the same few attacks the entirety of the game. I changed it up a little bit based on some of the suggestions, and it's really interesting because one of the ways they try and get you to spend money is showing you these build suggestions that have components that you can easily get by purchasing them. And you can actually, you're regularly prompted to actually go into the store and you'll see an XX% value for this thing that you can get, and then you can go run rifts. And then rifts, in order to get the loot that you actually need for them to be good, require crests, and crests cost money. Sure, you get one or two free every once in a while, but for the most part, they cost your hard-earned dollars. Do not buy them. What happens when you load up full of crests? I believe you can put 10 on at a time. You basically get showered with loot. 2-star gems, of course, not 5-star. There's actually a simulator out there where you can go and you can see how many turns of the crank or how many rift runs it would take you to actually get a 5-star gem. And let's just say it's a lot. It's thousands of dollars to get one usually. It needs to be changed. Talking about the level of ease, so you're constantly being rewarded with these sound effects and, all these things that are getting you that dopamine hit to get you keep playing Diablo Immortal, right? And it's not really challenging ever. Maybe the last few levels get a little challenging when you got to be like in the 50s I did hit level cap and I went above that a little bit. And then there was nothing there for me after that. There was no challenge that I felt like I needed to face or that I cared enough to face because it's all hollow, right? At that point, they've adjusted their design philosophy to make it so that you feel like you need to spend money at that level. So the whole design philosophy of the game is flawed. It keeps it easy enough throughout the entirety of the campaign so that they can get you to that 95%. You've invested so much time in the game, just spend a few dollars on a crest. And the thing that's truly disturbing is they don't seem to think it's a problem. I think Mike Ibarra was being very candid in his interview. I don't think he believes he's being malicious, but to me, that just says that most of the people have drank the Kool-Aid. We've seen the quips. Don't you guys have phones? Yeah, we have phones. We also read the post where you said it wouldn't be pay to win, and it is almost assuredly pay to win. You can pay to win in Diablo Immortal. So I've hit cap. I've got a few levels past that. I don't feel particularly incentivized to keep going because I see the constant notifications to spend just a little bit of money, and I'm very turned off about playing the game anymore. But don't worry, the next thing that they come out with, I'm sure they're going to give me plenty of incentives to jump back in and level up my character in whatever way that I need to. Maybe they'll even give away a 5-star gem. They show you things that you can do once you level up and incentivize you to do that. Let's see what else I forgot to talk about though. The main problem with Diablo Immortal, in my opinion, is that a bunch of developers drank the Kool-Aid and did some amazing work designing the world and mechanics within. That work, though, has been manipulated to take advantage of you and get you to spend cash. They get you hooked the same way Vegas casinos get you hooked.
Potential becomes reality.
With bright lights, pretty colors, and those wonderful, wonderful sounds of people winning. But unlike Vegas, you never will walk away with anything. You will sink a bunch of money into this game if you choose to, and it will perpetuate that philosophy in the industry. So the fact that people who are working on Diablo Immortal don't hear that concern from us is very problematic. It needs to be addressed. And to see a company like Blizzard do that, it's incredibly disheartening. If you spend even a single cent in Diablo Immortal, you're sending a message to developers across the industry to do the same thing. Monetize your games more. We're willing to spend the money. Just give us the appropriate sound design. Just give us the appropriate psychological incentives to spend that money. It's why I don't spend money in games like this. At most, I will spend money on, like, the Destiny Battle Pass is a fairly good example of what I find to be reasonable monetization. They're about $10. I get about 100 hours of gameplay, which is just an insane value. The story this last season was really, really quite good. And there's a lot of new content that comes along with it. So for that, yes, I am willing to, of course, pay $10 for all of that. And then I can earn by playing the game and doing the challenges every week, every cosmetic that comes in the Battle Pass. I think that is one of the systems that I am most comfortable with. Something like Diablo Immortal, where you have to buy a consumable to run a rift that will almost assuredly give you a competitive advantage in the PvP arena, is wrong. And it needs to be corrected. Anyway, that's my review of Diablo Immortal. If you're going to play it, enjoy it. I had a good time playing with the abilities and messing around with my mage and seeing what he could do. But don't spend money on it, because it sends a money to the rest of the industry that, hey, it's okay to make games like that. Let's keep making games like that. Please don't support a game that is clearly twisted. And the fact that many of the developers who have come out and talked about Diablo Immortal, just like, yeah, we're totally okay with this. It's very disheartening, to say the least. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on Diablo Immortal. If you like my review of Diablo Immortal, Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Something like 75% of you are not subscribed. Thank you for watching. If you want to become a member, support me, you can do so. You know what I do? I'll be very upfront with you. I upload this same video with no ads on it. So you can choose whatever level you want to support with. I'm not going to put any dopamine hits in there unless you enjoy my voice that much. And thank you so much to all the members who have joined. I'm going to get out of here. If this goes over well, I might do some more reviews of like games that I've played that I've wanted to talk about. Like Death Stranding, I'm really close on finishing. I finished the cafe mission in GT7, so I can talk about GT7 and their monetization problems. Let me know what you think about that. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.